Good morning, a very warm welcome to all of you who have joined us this morning. My name is Lisa Deisel. I'm from the UNISA Directorate for Counselling and Career Development. And this morning we are joined by Mr. Solomon Mashaba, who will be talking to us about professional registration for educators with the South African Council for Educators. So our program for this morning, we're just going to have a short introduction to our speaker by Mrs. Makanya. And then Mr. Mashaba will be informing us about the professional registration processes at SACE. There will also be a Q&A session. So as you are listening to the presentation, please post any questions you have about registration with SACE on the Q&A in Teams. We will then be reading out the question and Mr. Mashaba will respond to those. And then we will be joined by my other colleague, Mr. Beki Mzobi, who will then just end off the session for us. Thank you, colleagues. Mrs. Makanya, if you can just introduce Mr. Mashaba to us.
Thank you, Lisa. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me pleasure this morning to introduce our speaker for the day. He is the registration assistant manager at the South African Educators. SACE. He's an accomplished speaker. He has been invited to present to students in higher education institutions around the country and has the ability to authentically engage with students. Ladies and gentlemen, please let us welcome Solomon Mashaba to our video. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you, Mrs. Makanya. Mr. Mashaba, if you can just share your presentation with us and then you're welcome to get started.
Can I check if my presentation is visible for everybody?
Yes, thank you. We can see it.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. As I've been introduced, my name is Solomon Mashaba. I'm the Assistant Manager in the Registration Division of SACE is Centurion. So today I'll be sharing with you about the registration requirements in general, also what is SACE and who is SACE and what we stand for, and a background about our code of professional ethics, and also I share with you some of the professional teaching standards that as professional educators, we are all expected to abide by. Now, the presentation is not that long. It is very short and concise, and I expect questions and answers at the end, and we'll be able to handle those. Now, from the beginning, our professional educators should know that SACE is their professional home. So as all of you should know that each profession have got their own home and they've got their own act that they are governed by. Now, SACE is got the jurisdiction over all school-based educators. We are controlling and taking over all office-based educators. We are responsible for also college lecturers, that is at our TVET colleges, and we are also a home for ECD practitioners. Now, in brief, I will outline the mandates of SACE. Now, SACE is the custodian and the voice of the teaching profession. So as teachers, as professionals, you are under the care of SACE, and SACE act also as a guardian for this profession. We are the protector of this profession. We are the caretaker. We are a watchman. So we also oversee and defend this profession. So in short, we are there to promote, develop, maintain the image of this profession, the integrity and the status. So our mandate also is to advise on matters of this professional to the minister. Now, I'm going to share in brief also the vision and mission of SACE. To say our vision is to inspire a credible teaching profession. And our mission is to register fit to practice educators and lecturers. That is our TVET lecturers. And we are there to promote their continuing professional development and maintain the profession's professional teaching and ethical standards. I will be dwelling in detail in my presentation about the professional teaching standards and also the code of ethics that governs this profession. And our values is we have dignity, integrity, respect, accountability, responsible in our service. We are tolerant, we are transparent, and we are also service oriented towards the service that we deliver. And we also make sure that the service that we deliver is of quality. As you all know, that this council has been promulgated by an act of parliament. Now, SACE is governed by SACE Act number 31 of 2000 as amended. Now, in brief, this act is to provide for the continued existence of the South African Council for Educators, to provide anew for the functions of the said council, and to provide anew for the composition of the said council, and to provide for matters incidental thereto. Now, Section 2 of this Act, Section 2A, is to provide for registration of educators, and Section 2B is to promote the professional development of educators, and Section C talks about the set, maintain, and protect ethical and professional standards. Now, these three core mandates of SACE are very important for all professionals that are coming into the profession to note that this is what SACE is all about. Now, as I said, I'll be touching on 3 or 2 very important mandates that SACE is all about. One, as I said, it's about registration. The second core mandate is about the professional teaching standards. And the last one is the code of professional ethics. I'll briefly talk about 2 or 3 professional teaching standards that guide our profession. So one of those is that teaching is based on an ethical commitment to the learning and well-being of all learners. What does this talk about? Now, teachers believe in the capacity of all learners to achieve and make progress both inside and outside the classrooms. Teachers understand the different challenges that confront learners and their families and consider how these challenges may affect their behavior and learning. Now, we need to understand that teachers will respect different aspects of learners' identities, including but not limited to gender, race, language, culture, sexual orientation, and disability. And they believe that these diversities can be a strength and a resource for teaching and learning. Now, this professional standard number 1 that I've just shared with you, it talks in general about the ethical commitment that once you join the profession, then you should be able to recognize and appreciate that the learners are of diverse nature as they come from different backgrounds and also from different aspects and identities. Allow me to also touch on the second or the other professional teaching standard, that it's very important for our professional educators and our new entrants to this profession. So I'll talk about a teaching standard that embodies on the outcomes from the classroom. So to say that teachers require a well-managed and a safe learning environment that is created and maintained within a reason. Teachers are in a class and teaching during scheduled teaching time, and they establish class routines to make the most of the available teaching and learning time. Teachers use fair and consistent applied rules to promote respectful behavior in their working environments. So in short, what this professional teaching standard talks about is about how we as professional teachers need to use our time and space in an efficient way in order to produce those results that everybody is looking out for. And at the same breath, let me also touch on the second core mandate that is very important also for us to note, and this is about the code of professional teaching for our educators. But before I can go into much detail about the ethics, let me just share with you that the South African Council for Educators is regulating the following, the sector in the following sectors that are preschooling. We regulate the formal schooling, including public and independent schools, the ordinary or the special schools, and we also in the space of preschooling and the FET colleges. Now, let me touch on the most important or 3 points that are very important that embodies the code of ethics. And it is very important for the new entrants into this profession to note, especially the 3 relationships that I'm going to talk about. One, there's a relationship that is very important, and that is between the educator or the student educator and the learner at the school level. This is important in such a way that we need to get the information out there for our new entrants to know that what is expected of them. Teachers are expected to respect the dignity, beliefs, and constitutional rights of all learners. They should understand the learners have the right to privacy and confidentiality. They should avoid at all costs relationship, which is a sexual relationship with learners. And they are not expected to share any pornographic materials with learners, and they are expected to refrain from sexting with learners and to promote gender equality. These are some of the difficult situations that most of the new entrants find themselves in. You'll know that there is this perception that an educator, once they enter the premises of the school, they are regarded as parents. And there is this Greek word that is used to say teachers are in loco parentis, which means that they are in a place of a parent once they enter the school premises or environment. So it's very important for our new entrants into the sector to know all those, because we find many educators finding themselves in a difficult position and appearing for matters that are of common nature, and some they are expected to know. So we share all this because we want our new entrants and our new teachers as professionals to know what is expected of them. I'll also talk about some of the most difficult ones that teachers, especially the new teachers, find themselves in, that they are unable to carry on with their duties because they find themselves in a very difficult position whereby they are unable to absorb pressure and also to take lawful instructions. Now, I'll talk about the relationship between the educator and the leadership. Here we talk about the leadership or the employer at the school sector. Now, we need to respect and recognize the employer as a partner in this sector in education. We must respect leadership and management, and we should recognize the roles and responsibilities of the management and carry all lawful instructions without contempt. The other important aspect of our code of ethics, it talks about the relationship between the educator and the community at large. We need to respect and recognize that this school or the institution that you'll be serving, it is within a community. Therefore, we need to acknowledge the diverse customs and beliefs in the community. We need to conduct our relationship with the community in a respectful way, and also recognize those values and customs of the community. Now, as I have indicated, especially on the common days that this organization SACE is all about, I thought I should share with you on how to do, because I know it is also one of the most important core mandate, and that is registration. I'm going to share with you the registration requirements. I'm going to share with you how to do the application on the online portal, and in general, what is expected of one to possess in order to make a successful application. SACE has got an online portal that is working, and it is helping many people, especially in terms of those who need registration and cannot access the SACE registration office in person. This online process, it's user-friendly, and it is for saving also our environment, because this process is paperless, and it's for us to adapt and go green. So for one to start the process of application, you'll need to have the following information. One, a working email address, a cell phone number, and these two methods of communication needs to be guarded against. In other words, once you use this email address and cell phone number as your means of communication on our online portal, then you should know that it is for keeps, because these numbers will be, this number, especially the cell phone number, will be linked to your online portal, and you are advised not to change it because it will be used for your verification purposes and also to authenticate and receive the OTPs. Now, should you change this cell phone number, you will have to contact the e-services directly and not SACE. The e-services that I'm talking about is the government portal that most of us will know, and we have accessed services from this portal, and we have used it for other social services like applying for a bursary scheme or applying for employment opportunities using this portal. So most of the students that we help in most cases is that they do not access this portal because their ID number has been used before and they could not remember the login details. Now, if you have used the portal before, you need to retrieve those login details so that you can be able to continue with the application. Now, for you to retrieve the login details, you need to access the website and click on the forget password. Then you'll be required to enter your ID number. Then the link will be sent to your email address, or the OTP will be sent to your cell phone, where you'll be able to retrieve those login details. This information is very important that we included it on this presentation, because we have realized throughout that most of our students or most of the applicants will struggle because they used their ID numbers before and they forgot their login details. Okay, now I'm going to illustrate on how to create an online profile so that you can be able to apply for your SACE registration. Now, to start with, we request that if you are a South African citizen, please use only your ID number, not a passport number. Previous queries that we receive, it shows that once you use or enter a passport number on the field for passport number and you are a South African, you will experience some challenges in terms of creating a profile. So this note is especially for those who are South African citizens, to avoid using a field on the portal for a passport number, but instead use only ID number. The field for passport number is only for non-SA citizens. Now I'll go through the step-by-step on how to create a profile and finally apply for SACE registration. So step number one will be to visit the website, that is www.eservices.gov.za. Step number two is what I've just spoken about now, about either you register or you log in. To register is for those who will be using the portal for the first time, and log in is for those that I've just explained that they have used the portal before, either for accessing or application for bursaries or for employment opportunities. Now, to register, you'll need to add your personal details, that is your full names and surnames, and ID number. And a passport number is for those who are non-South African citizens. Now, on names, you are advised to use your names as they appear on your ID. Please type your names as they appear on ID and do not use nicknames or shorten your name and avoid typing your name in full. Why? Because these details will be used or will be transported to the SACE registration system, and when your legal documents are issued by SACE, will come out in names that you have typed at this point. So you are advised to use or to type your names as they appear on your ID. Step number 4, I just spoke about your contact numbers. That is your cell phone number and email address. Very, very important that you keep this number and email address for future purposes, because this online portal that you are creating on the registration portal will be used even for future purposes. So it's important to keep this. And step number 5 will be your address details. Even on this step, you are advised to correctly capture your postal address as correct as possible, because also this information will be populated in the SACE registration form or on the portal for registration. And this address will be used also to send, if there are any documents to be sent to you, will be sent to this address. Then step number 6 will be to create a password. You are advised to create a password that is strong enough, that cannot be cracked easily. But at the same breath, you are advised to keep this password and keep it very safe so that you can use it at a later stage. Do not share this password with any other person, because this profile that you'll be creating will be yours and only yours. And that's where SACE documents will be sent to, and you are required to print out those documents from the portal. So if you share with this, you'll be putting yourself in trouble with other people. So this password, you need to keep it very safe and create a password that is not easy to crack. And on the screen now, you'll be required to enter the verification code just to confirm that you are human, and an OTP will be sent to your cell phone. Then you type in that OTP that you received. Now your account will be created successfully, and you will be thrown out of these steps, and you will be required to log in with your username and password that you have just created. So now that you have successfully created an online profile, what should happen? So with those credentials that you have created, you log in, and on the main screen, you'll click on education, then scroll down to SACE professional registration, then choose the type of registration that you are applying for. That will be either for a student, teacher, or provisional registration, but we also have professional registration option that you can apply for those who are updating and also who are applying for extension for their registration. You are advised to read the requirements to ensure that you have all the required documents, and if not, then you will be required to compile all the requirements. And luckily, I'll share with you all the requirements now on this presentation, and you save all your documents in PDF. I'll repeat it again. Your documents should be saved in PDF only. Do not upload on the portal any photos, either in JPEG or any other format, but you are advised to use only PDF. There's a reason for that. Once you use any other saving method that and you upload it on the system, will be deleted from our side, from the portal, and as SACE backend office, we will not be able to see these documents that you have uploaded. So it's very important to note that we want these documents only in PDF. And you'll choose if you'll be paying at the end of this application on the online portal using your debit or credit card, or you'll be using a payment method of paying in the bank. And at this stage, then you'll have a proof of payment in the form of a bank deposit slip or a printed out proof of payment from EFT. Now, even this proof of payment, if you be uploading it on the system, you need to save it in PDF. Now I'm going to share with you the registration requirements or documents that are very important to have and to have them in PDF. These documents apply to only South African citizens. That is a copy of ID. And if you are using a smart card ID, make sure that both sides of the ID is copied and is certified. A certified copy of your matric certificate, a valid police clearance certificate issued by SACE or AfriSwitch, and this police clearance certificate should not be older than 6 months at the time of submission to SACE. Now, for those who will have a police clearance certificate that indicates SAPS verification requested, they should attach a police report to this police clearance certificate. And then this means that the applicant might have been arrested before. It's either they've got a case that is awaiting trial, or they've got a conviction, or the matter has been withdrawn from court, or it was never prosecuted, but their fingerprints were never cleared from SAPS. Now, you need not worry about this. We treat each matter on its own, on its merit. So once you find yourself with a police clearance that shows SAPS verification requested, please ask the service provider that produced the police clearance certificate for you to share with you the police report. This will indicate to us the nature of the report or the record, and we'll take it from there. But you need not shy away and say, I'm not applying for SACE because I've got this. So all those are treated confidentially and on its own merits. The second requirement will be a proof of payment, and the registration fee is 200 Rand. This is for our first-time applicants. If you are a first-time applicant and applying for SACE registration, your registration fee is 200 Rand. Please make sure that all copies are recently certified, and the certification must state that this is a true copy of the original document and must have a date stamp. Very, very important. There are people who will submit a document that is only stamped by a commissioner of oaths. You'll know some of us will have relatives with people who've got the stamp, and they just stamp it commissioner of oaths without saying these words that they certify that this is a true copy of the original, and it must have a date stamp, because this date stamp is used for validity period that we currently use for 6 months. As I said before, all copies must be certified and they must be in PDF. Now, when you save these documents in PDF, you save them individually and name them accordingly. For example, the first document will be your copy of ID. So you save it in PDF and name it ID. Now I'm going to deal with documents that are required for non-SA citizens. Number one would be a certified copy of passport and permit. And for those who are studying, we require this permit to be for study purposes. And those who are going into the teaching field, then they should have work permits. Requirement number two, a certified copy of their A or O level certificate issued in their country of origin that is accompanied by a SACE evaluation report. And this should be for all qualifications, even for those who have qualified for professional qualifications. They need to take their documents to SACE for evaluation. So the SACE evaluation certificate must be attached to all qualifications obtained outside the Republic. We require a valid police clearance certificate, as I said, from SAPS or AFISWITCH. And this police clearance certificate should not be older than 6 months at the time of submission to SACE. And for those who've got an indication of SAPS verification requested, they should accompany this police clearance certificate with a report that indicates the nature of the record. Now, for non-SA citizens, the registration fee is 400 Rand. And as I said, all copies must be recently certified, or certification should not be older than 6 months. And it should have the stamp to confirm that they certify that this is a true copy of the original document, and it must have a date stamp. Additional documents that are required for students who are applying for student registration or provisional registration. Those will be a copy of proof of registration for the current academic year that is indicating the name of the program that they are following. It will be either B.Ed or PGCE in the year of study. Now, this proof of registration should be on the university letterhead and have official university stamp. Please note, the university stamp that we're talking about here is not a certification stamp. Please, you need to certify this proof of registration. We have seen with many students or educators who will come with this proof of registration. They come with the official university stamp on it and they say it's certified. It is not. You need to take this document for certification so that it can be acceptable by SACE. This proof of registration should be accompanied with a copy of the academic record post the first year of study. Now I'll deal with additional documents that are required for provisional registration for students who are following the PGCE program. These additional documents will be a copy of your junior qualification, that is your undergrad certificate, a complete academic record for the junior qualification indicating that the qualification has been completed. And if the academic record does not indicate completed, but the qualification has been completed, then we'll require a completion letter. And in this instance, most of the letters that we receive from UNISA, they are straightforward. They really make our life easier. Please note that all university documents must be on the university letterhead and have the official university stamp. And as I said, you need to certify these documents. So all in all your documents need to be certified and the certification validity period is 6 months. So what to do when your application is rejected? As I said from the beginning, when you create this profile, this is your home where you'll be able to interact with SACE and all the documents you'll be able to retrieve from the portal. So once your documents have been worked on, you'll receive an SMS that indicates that you need to log into the e-service portal. As I said, now it will be your time to retrieve those login details. You go back to log in into the e-service portal. Then you go to manage application. Then you'll be able to access the PEM letter that is going to indicate why your application was rejected. At this stage, I'm talking about students or professional registration applicants who have applied but have omitted some of the documents, or they do not meet the minimum requirements as set out. So the PEM letter will also advise you as to what you should upload so that your application can be processed again. So you only upload to those documents that have been mentioned on the PEM letter. Please, you are advised not to remove any attached documents that is on the portal under your name, because they will be removed also from our side as well. And your application will never be successful, as you'll always have outstanding documents. But you are advised, as we have seen it with other applicants, that they do not find a correct slot to upload the required documents. You are advised to use any available slot to upload to those outstanding documents. Now, if your application has been rejected because you didn't certify a copy of your ID, you can, however, replace that incorrect document with a correct document. Now, if you have submitted from the beginning an uncertified copy of ID, then you can remove that and replace it with the correct certified document. Now, you should remember to click submit so that the application can go through for processing at SACE. So for those who have uploaded the correct documents, the process is very short. Log in, go to manage application, then you'll be able to access and print out your registration letter from the portal. So there is no need for you to be emailing to SACE or traveling to SACE office just to receive your letter. So you are in charge, you've got the portal, all your documents will be available, even the SACE letter will be available on the portal, and you'll be able to print it out from the portal. Please note that all online letters that are issued by SACE do not have the official stamp. We are still in the process of making sure that all our letters get the online stamp. But for now, our letters do not have the stamp, but it is set on the letter that you can make any verification through email to check authenticity or validity of the letter by any other person. Okay, I have shared some notes on how to go forth with your application. Please note that once your application is submitted and you have made a mistake, you cannot make any changes at this stage until the application has been worked on by SACE officials. So once you click submit and your application is submitted to SACE, you cannot go back and work on it. You need to wait for it to be processed. Then at the later stage, you'll be able to access the PEM letter. If there are any outstanding documents, then you'll be able to retrieve or upload your documents. Please do not send any emails to SACE to inquire about your application. As I said, this portal is for you to interact with SACE, where you'll be able to receive all your documents, and you are advised to log into this portal on a regular basis to check the progress of your application. Thank you very much. This is the end of my presentation. I'll be happy to take questions and clarity-seeking questions also. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mashaba. There are a couple of questions while we are maybe ending off your presentation about the application process. There were just two questions from students. Lungile is saying that she tried to register online but was unable to upload documents. So I received an email that my registration was unsuccessful. When I log onto the portal to upload the documents, the portal does not allow me.
Yeah, I think one of those will be, like, as I said, that you'll find that the applicant do not have the correct or do not see the correct slot to upload those documents. And if they have been requested to upload, for example, we will send what is called a Form 8. The Form 8 is the form that we use to vet against the sexual offenders register with the Department of Justice and Correctional Services, and you do not find the correct slot, you can upload that document to any available slot that is on the portal. For example, there are open slots like assumption of new names, permit, or so you can upload to any available slot. Okay. I hope I've answered the question.
Thank you, Mr. Mashaba. There was also another question from somebody who's saying that they have been having a problem with their registration as a student teacher. I've completed all the application steps, but the issue was always the reverting back of the application as incomplete due to blurred document, which I have updated and reattached. In March, I did that re-upload again after my application was rejected again due to unclear docs, and since then it has been on an in-progress status. I would like to know how long does the process take for SACE to access our application and return the outcomes?
Okay, for those who seem to be having problems, especially extended delays, at the end of this session or now on the chat, I'll type my email address. They are welcome to communicate with me. And if they experience those challenges of uploading documents, they can communicate with me, send me those documents, then I'll share with my colleagues and resolve those, because I should believe now that this is bottlenecks that are taking time to be resolved. So I can share my email address on the chat now, I'll type it, and then they communicate with me, and I'll also share my SACE phone numbers. So applicants are welcome to communicate with me. They can send, after sending the email, they can also call me just to say, I attended the session with UNISA and you shared with us your cell phone number and email address. May you please check my application so that we can solve those. I think it's easier to solve in that way.
Thank you very much. I think that is a very reasonable way of solving it. So those of you who are experiencing problems and maybe like recurring problems, please feel free to contact Mr. Mashaba, as he will be posting his contact details. Okay, so in terms of other questions, Kenilwe was asking, when do I register with SACE? I'm intending to start with my B.Ed next year.
Okay, the provisional registration of students, we encourage especially third year or fourth year students to apply for SACE registration. Why? Because provisional registration of students by SACE is not for employment purposes, number one. Number two, it's got validity period of a year, because we regard these letters to give access to our student educators to access teaching practice, and we expect them to register in the third or the fourth year level. However, we do not deny any applicant to apply from first year for SACE registration, as long as they note what I've just said about validity period and also the disclaimer about employment, because we have seen that in most cases, our applicants will register with SACE and seek employment with this letter. and some of our employers or departments, they are not aware, they do not read the disclaimer, then the student will be regarded as SACE registered and employed as such, whereas they are still students and they are still learning. I hope I've answered the question.
I understood it, but to the person, if there are any follow-up questions from anyone, please post them in the Q&A. Okay, so we also have a question about if I am a teaching assistant, do I also register with SACE?
Okay, for SACE registration, as I have just given the requirements, we register applicants who meet the requirements. Now, if an applicant or a student says they are still doing or they are teacher assistants, I need to understand before I can give more information about that question. If the person is still available on the session, I'll be happy to communicate with them directly.
Okay, thank you, Mr.
If that's possible, yeah.
Okay. Then there was a question about, I think it came through as you were talking about the standards. What happens to a teacher who transgresses?
Okay, there are steps that are followed. As I've mentioned some, I did not go through all the booklet of the Code of Ethics, but there are those transactions that are regarded as serious, and therefore the teacher will be referred as and when the South African Council for Educators is identifying those transactions. The affected educator will be called for a hearing by council, and if it is found that they have transgressed this Code of Ethics for professional educators, then they will be given a sentence that is fitting the transaction. As I said, they are not the same. There are those that the educator will be given a fine or a suspended sentence, but there are those who will be removed from the role of educators and they will be removed indefinitely. In other words, this person will not be able to work as an educator anywhere in this country, and for that matter, not even in Africa, because we are a member of AFTRA, that is the African Federation of Teacher Councils in Africa. So this transgressor, I'll call that person transgressor, because it will be a serious matter that I spoke about in the beginning of my presentation about sexual relationship with learners. Those ones will be removed from the role of educators indefinitely, and they will not be able to register with any council in this in Africa, and they will not be able to work in this country as an educator. Thank you.
Thank you. You did speak about the issue of the criminal record or the SAPS clearance, but just to make sure, you mentioned that if someone, does have a criminal record, they can still apply, and that each case is dealt with on merit. Did I understand you correctly?
Yes. There are those who will have this police clearance and it's stated SAPS verification requested. And when they come with the report, you find that the person was arrested for failure of wearing a mask. Like what happened in the year 2000 with the corona outbreak and COVID-19. There were those regulations that people were not allowed to walk around this time, and now they got arrested and they've got a criminal record. Now, you cannot punish or deny such a person registration. However, we do get advice from our legal department that is going to tell us This is a minor offense. You can register this one. That's why I said it's dealt with on merits. So there are those that are very difficult, that you find a person with a conviction of, for example, rape. I normally give that one as an example because it will be regarded as a very serious offense. Those ones, they will be referred to a committee that is called Fit to Teach, where they will be subjected to a hearing, where they will be tested to see and hear from the person based on the evidence that will be provided by them and the committee and the SACE officials, and also from the background checks that we normally do and the vetting. Then the committee of counsel is the only one who can give a green light or deny registration for serious matters. But for those that will find themselves for maybe forgetting to pay for a chocolate from the shops and failure to wear a mask or some road traffic act violations, they are not regarded as serious. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mashaba. There were two questions centered around the issue of professional development. So one person asked, once I am a registered teacher, do I have to do further professional development activities to stay registered?
Yes. We've got a system that is called continued professional teaching development points, that, you know, as a teacher, you are regarded as a lifelong learner. So all teachers that are SACE registered, they are expected to participate in those CPTD sessions that are school-based, and those that are also self-initiated, and there are also those that are initiated by the department itself. So once you are fully registered as an educator and you've been registered as such, then you'll be expected to register and earn those CPTD points. Thank you.
Okay, and just as a follow-up to that, you mentioned now that these activities could be school-based. So does SACE also offer such activities, or is it your role just to maintain the register then for teachers to comply with?
Yeah, we do maintain the register, but we do have service providers that are accredited by SACE, and they are authorized to initiate those teacher development programs.
Okay, thank you. Then there's a question, how does SACE make sure that teachers comply with the professional standards?
We normally host events throughout the country, and when our educators, because we expect them to be, like I said in my presentation, that we govern all these spheres of the sector, either at the private or a public school or a college or at a ABET center. We do communicate with the stakeholders in the sector, whereby we initiate those professional teaching standards sessions that are coordinated by SACE and the department, and also with the private schools forum, whereby we go and on outreach programs to give out these professional teaching standards in sessions that are held in quarterly basis, but throughout the country.
Thank you. You did mention that anyone would be able to access these SACE certificates on the e-services portal. So somebody was asking, I misplaced my SACE certificate, what do I do? So I guess that answered the question, that they could re-log into the portal and be able to get the certificate. Did I understand that correctly?
Okay, let me clarify it this way. On the portal, what they can access and print out is the letter, is the provisional registration letter that is given to our student educators. And as for certificates, once you have applied through this portal and your application is successful, your certificate is automatically sent to your email address. Remember, in my presentation, I spoke about the importance of using this email address and keeping it for life. Now, you will receive a digital certificate on your email, not on the portal. For now, on the portal, you will be able to retrieve the provisional registration letter. But the certificate is automatically sent. The digital certificate is automatically sent to the email. Now, for those who have lost their original SACE certificate, they need to apply for a reprint. But they can also apply for a reprint using the same portal that I've just given information about. And there are requirements for a reprint of a certificate, and it's very easy. It's just to apply on the portal and attach a certified copy of their ID and a letter, that the application letter that they're going to inform us that they have been registered with SACE, and mention all those, like their SACE number, and to say they have lost the certificate and they're applying for a reprint. So for a reprint, we do not require a police clearance certificate, but a certified copy of ID that is within 6 months period. Thank you.
There was a question, do I have to register with SACE each year?
Okay, as I said about the provisional registration, that is for a validity period of 1 year. That is for student educators. And now for those who are fully registered as educators and they receive their full registration certificate, no. But what they need to do on annual basis, they need to pay professional membership fees, which is R16.50 per month and R198 per annum. But in most cases, most of our educators, since they are applied by the state, that membership fees is collected using the PESAL system. So they don't have to come to SACE to pay for that. As long as those membership fees are paid through using PESAL or being deducted from their pay slips, and they've got proof of that.
Thank you. There's a question, how long does the registration process normally take?
The registration period for applicants, it varies because we do verifications with subs. This police clearance, for example, when you send it to SACE, it is subjected to verification, and the documents that are received from the universities or higher education institutions are also subjected to verification. So the period of, or the turnaround period for registration varies from one to another, but in general, it will take about 3 weeks. However, on sessions that we do with universities, we'll find that we require the university to coordinate a list whereby the names, surname, ID number, and contact details of the student is shared with us for those who have applied using the online portal. What we do is we do the processing of those using the university's attendance register. Like today, what I can confirm is that if there are students who are going to be applying either today or before the end of this week or by Friday, what we can do as the university is to coordinate a list of all those that will be applying, and that list be shared with me by the university. I will request my colleagues in the office to look at their applications, and they'll be speedily processed. By next week, they should be done if they have attached the correct documents. I hope I've answered that.
Thank you, Mr. Mashaba. There was a question here, what happens to someone who does not renew their registration? Does SACE track that? And then also, how long after the expiry of the certificate is one's registration valid?
Okay, as I said, the certificates do not expire. The only registration that will expire is the provisional registration that is issued in a form of a letter, or a conditional registration that is issued in a letter, like for those who are still studying, or those who have academic qualifications, but they are required to do PGCE. They get registered and get a registration letter. That letter, yes, do expire, but it also varies. There are letters that expire after a year. There are letters, for example, for those who are academically qualified, and they get 3-year registration period, and for them to go and do PGCE. Those get letters, yes, they do get expired, but registration certificates, they don't get expired. You only get those certificates, the permanent certificate, they call it permanent certificate, then you are expected to pay professional membership fees. We do not track any person who's a defaulter or who has not renewed their registration. However, we do a verification. We do verification requests for departments or the private employer associations, whereby they send on regular basis or on appointment before they can appoint a teacher. As part of their processes, they do send those requests for us to check if the letter that is submitted through the recruitment purposes or the recruitment drive and the registration certificate, they do send those for us to verify if they are authentic and still valid. So people will be checked from there, but we do not go out and hunt people who are not SACE compliant, but the employer will finally do verification and check with us, and that's when people sometimes get caught. And maybe I should also just state that this profession, as I said from my presentation, the South African Council for Educators was introduced in a way of an Act of Parliament. Now, this Act 31 of 2000, Section 21, Chapter 3, Section 21, it says no person may be employed as an educator by any employer unless the person is registered with the council. So it is a criminal offense for the director of the school, for those private institutions, or for the principal, or for the department for that matter, to employ any person to a teaching post without SACE registration. Thank you.
Thank you. There was a question here also about the J8 form. What is it about and where do you submit it, as it does not have a folder under attachments?
Okay. As I said, at one point I said there is a vetting process that we follow with the Department of Justice and Correctional Services, and that vetting is for vetting against a register for sexual offenders register, whereby we do it in the form of completing the Form 8 or the J8. So if one is requested to complete and submit a J8 form, they can upload it at any available slot. As I said, that even on the slot for assumption of new names or the permit, any slot that is available, but do not remove any other documents that have been uploaded before, but use any available slot to submit that Form 8. Or they can follow the process that I shared my email address, and then I'll be able to assist. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me just take a look. So there's another question. I've started teaching in 2019 and I am not yet finished with my degree. I did not register for SACE. Can I register now as a student?
Yes, yes. Remember, in my presentation, I spoke about the requirements that for you to be registered as a student, you'll need to have, very important from the part of the university, is that the student must have proof of registration for the current academic year. And that letter, like with UNISA, as I said, we do not have problems with your letters. It should be on the letterhead. It should have the university stamp. It should state the name of program, and it should also indicate the year of study. So that person, even though they have started in 2019, as long as they are still studying and they are following the B.Ed program or they are doing the PGCE, yes, they can be registered as a student. Remember, for student registration, we only admit those who are doing B.Ed and PGCE that are studying towards professional registration as a teacher. We do not take student teachers, for example, for BA or BSc. I hope I've clarified that.
Yes. Okay, and then Lingile is asking, since I paid the registration fee and my application was unsuccessful, can I still use the previous uploaded receipt to apply again?
Look, application fee or registration fee in most cases is not refundable. And if you have applied and your application has exceeded more than 6 months period without correcting or submitting the correct documents, on application for a new registration, you'll need to pay because that period has elapsed of 6 months and the registration fee is not refundable. And those terms and conditions are available. On my presentation, I said applicants are advised to read the requirements and understand before they can start the application process.
Okay, thank you. Sandiswa was asking, I've registered last on my 2nd year. Now I would like to know if I have to register again.
Yes, remember I said there are students who will register in the 3rd or the 4th year so that they can access the teaching practice. And yes, for those who have registered before, even though they did not renew, they should not shy away and be scared to come and register or update their registration. They are more than welcome. And their registration fee in this instance, for those who are now registered to SACE and they come for an update or extension of registration, is only 50 Rand, not 200 Rand.
Okay, thank you. Then we have a question. I'm a final year student, just completed with my practicals and waiting for a completion letter. Will I be able to register for SACE and apply for a job while I'm waiting for the completion letter?
No, unless if you apply for provisional registration as a student, but if you have completed your studies with the university and you are waiting for a completion letter, you should wait for that letter before you can register with SACE. So applicants are advised to exercise patience in terms of waiting for those documents, because we have realized that some of the students will come for registration without those completion letters, and unfortunately, even if they come here, we do reject those applications. So they must wait for the process with the university to be finalized, because we are aware that in most cases you'll find that UNISA is still doing their own auditing process and before they can issue the completion letter. So they must wait for the completion letter to be issued to them, then they can come to apply for SACE registration. And also, yes, we can access employment opportunities with the completion letter because they have completed their qualification and they're just waiting for graduations.
Thank you. Then there was just a question about where we can find the SACE banking details.
Okay. The SACE website is full of information, and we encourage our applicants, especially the new entrants into the profession, to visit this website on regular basis. The SACE website, we've got the bank details, they are there. And as I said in my presentation, any money that you pay to SACE on reference, please use your ID number or passport number, not your names and surname, because you might have problems or challenges and we won't be able to allocate the money that you have paid. So the bank details are available on the SACE website, and more information is available on the SACE website, like the registration requirements, the CPTD points, the code of ethics. All this information is available on the SACE website.
Thank you. And then I see two last questions. It's got to do with the minimum requirements to be able to register with SACE. And then somebody also asked specifically if they've got a certificate in early childhood development, whether they would also be eligible for registration with SACE.
Yes, remember in my presentation, I spoke about the sectors that we regulate. We do regulate also the ECD sector, and we do register ECD practitioners. And for ECD practitioners, we do register those who've got ECD level 4 and ECD level 5. But we do encourage our applicants, once they have registered for ECD level 4, then they are encouraged to follow formal qualification in education like the BEd, or there is this other qualification that leads to professional registration, and that is a diploma in grade R teaching that they should follow. So they must not be only on ECD level 4 for a lifetime, but once we register them, we even give that advice that they should follow other professional teaching qualifications so that they can be registered as such.
Thank you. There was Tandiswa also spoke about that she applied on the 27th of June, and she's just following up on her application. So I did post your details that you posted in the chat on the Q&A. So I guess Tandiswa could also be somebody that could contact you.
No, it's okay. They can contact me. I'll be able to assist.
Okay. And then Zanele is asking, does going to the SACE office help to speed up the process, or is it better to use, or is it the same as using the online services?
Yeah, look, when they come to the SACE office, yes, they will get a same-day service. But remember, like in school holidays like now, the office is full. As I'm speaking to you now, we've got about 50 to 60 people seated in our registration hall waiting to be assisted. And our systems, like I said, they include verification of this police clearance, and also with higher education institutions. It takes time. But yes, when they come to the office, they can be assisted on the same day.
Thank you. And then Zanele, again, she's asking about when she gets the completion letter from UNISA, does she apply for a qualified teacher or a student teacher? And if I remember, you did respond that if you have the completed qualification, then you will apply to be a teacher, not a student teacher, or the provisional registration.
Yes, you are correct. Completion letter will give you access to full registration as an educator.
Okay. I just want to do a last check about the questions before we move on. There was the question about the fee for the provisional registration. If you can just remind us how much that is.
Okay, the registration fee for provisional registration as a student for first time is 200 Rand. And for updates or those who have registered before as students and they want to renew their registration is 50 Rand. And for those who are non-SA citizens, first time registration is 400 Rand and update is only 50 Rand.
Okay, then somebody was also just asking, how do I pay the annual fee as a SACE member if I'm not yet on the educator system that deducts the payment?
Okay, you can use the website, go to the website to retrieve the bank details, or you can use the online payment option on the portal by going to the Pay Here tab and click on it. You'll be able to make payment using your debit or your credit card on the portal. But when you make cash deposit or EFT, I'll say it again, for your money to be allocated correctly, use only your ID number.
Thank you, Mr. Mashaba. Those are the only questions that we've got up to this point. I would just want to thank the Shafika who posted a comment for you. Thank you, Mr. Mashaba, for a detailed and well-presented presentation. And also thank you to UNISA for hosting this important and appreciated SACE webinar. Thank you, Shafika, for sharing that with us. Okay, so I'm just going to make a few announcements. I just need to reshare my presentation and then we can end off the session. I'm sorry, yeah, there you go. So from our side, we just want to invite you to register for the Virtual Grad Expo. So the idea with the Virtual Grad Expo, it's an online platform where you're able to access information about opportunities at different employers and organizations, such as professional organizations as well as higher education institutions. And on the 27th of July and the 17th of August, there will also be live events where you will be able to engage with employers and these organizations to find out more about further study as well as career opportunities at different companies. So please take time to register on the platform. I've posted the link there on the presentation. And on the 27th of July, you are then able to join us live during those sessions to attend webinars, as well as have chats with the representatives from the employers. Then in terms of events such as these, we are hosting further events in July. We will be posting updated information about these events on the MyUNISA events calendar. So also keep an eye open for further presentations that we have arranged with different presenters. Then we also just want to share with you that there is a very comprehensive book called Grad Next, which is also available for online download. The book is free of charge and it contains a lot of information about personal branding, preparing for interviews, writing your CV, job searching, starting your own business, and also about networking. So also go and take a look at this book that you can download. As I said, it contains a lot of information that might be useful for you as you are planning your next steps. Then from our side, we would just want to invite you, if you've got any feedback or questions or suggestions, please contact Mrs. Makanya. Her email address is also there on the screen. And if you would want to have further conversations with us about your career planning and your study planning, please contact us by email to counselling@unisa.ac.za. We also offer online appointments if you would want to have a one-on-one conversation with one of our counsellors. And you are also welcome to contact a counsellor at the UNISA Regional Centre closest to you. Our website at www.unisa.ac.za/counselling also contains a lot of information and content that could help you with your career planning. On our YouTube channel at youtube.com/UNISA Careers, we also post recordings of all of these sessions that you could go and watch at your own time. So please also just go and take a look at the previous sessions that we've had. If you would want to subscribe, you can also do that so that you can get updates about future recordings. From my side, thank you very much. I'm now going to hand over to my colleague, Mr. Becky Mzobe, if he could just end off the session for us. Thank you, Becky.
Thank you so much, Lisa, and good day all. We have now come to the end of today's session. On that note, I take this opportunity on behalf of my colleagues and the entire Directorate for Counseling and Career Development at UNISA to extend my gratitude to our guest speaker, Mr. Solomon Mashaba, for the insightful presentation. Thank you for taking the time to explain and outline the professional registration process with SACE to our students and our future teachers. I have no doubt that they benefited from the valuable information you shared. Once again, thank you so much, Mr. Mashaba. I would also like to thank Lisa for facilitating this event very well. Thank you so much, Lisa. To all participants, including our future teachers who made this event a success, I say thank you. Thank you to everyone who participated. Back to you, Lisa.
Thank you, Becky. Before we leave the meeting, Mr. Mashaba, there's just one last question, if you don't mind.
Okay.
If I have a SACE certificate for ECD level 4 and now I qualify with a B.Ed, do I just renew my certificate or do I need to apply again?
Okay, with the ECD, they get only a letter. So ECD level 4, it means they are in possession of a letter, and the letter that had a validity period. And I should presume that maybe it has expired by now. So since now that they have upgraded themselves and they have obtained the B.Ed, they are encouraged to come with the completion letter from the university and the full academic record, a certified copy of ID, no need for matric because they will be upgrading from ECD to ECD level 4 to full registration. Then we'll need the police clearance and a proof of payment of 50 rand. Yes, they can apply for now a full registration status, where they'll be issued with the permanent SACE registration certificate.
Thank you, Mr. Mashaba. That was the last of the questions. Thank you very much from my side to everyone who attended, and also thank you to my colleagues for the support. We hope that we see you in future sessions, and all the best with your studies. Thank you very much.
Thank you, colleagues, and goodbye.
Thank you, Mr. Mashaba.
Thank you so much, Solomon. Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.